Sorry, we were without volume there. Yeah, this is Decision Points back live in DC. Tragically coming back to discuss some of the things that are going on with the Charlie Kirk coverage. Obviously, he was horrifically assassinated yesterday, and it's interesting to see that there's kind of some universality in how some of the independent media channels are covering this, in addition to Fox News. I think a couple of years ago, and when Trump was gaining popularity, there was the idea of big media and this corporate media, whereby you could tell the moneyed interests, the insurance companies, the pharmaceutical companies, the uh, war war machine suppliers, they were kind of controlling the narrative and giving us one view that was good for them, but not good for the people. And I think Trump rose up out of that, and independent media, particularly venues like Rumble and Twitter, got popular as being the free speech places. But today and starting yesterday, we started seeing coverage from some of the more right-leaning independent channels, and they were all lining up saying the same thing. And unfortunately, we saw a lot of that on Rumble today. Channels like Vince and even Crowder was doing this and essentially pushing a narrative that this was the radical left. And as of right now, they have not caught the shooter. So really, it's anybody's guess as to the motivations of the shooter, right? But everyone seems to be aligning. Fox News, MSNBC, none of them are condoning this, and they're all kind of explaining it away as, this is, we gotta tone down the rhetoric. The rhetoric was too much. But as far as I could tell, that this wasn't that. Like we've had times when rhetoric was bad and when people have been calling for this and that, but Charlie was never the target of that. He's been called, right wing, but and a Nazi and all these other things, but nothing to the degree that people were fearing for his life. He's had death threats. I think a lot of these mainstream people have had death threats. That goes without saying, but he wasn't. Besides the fact that he supported and has been a supporter of Israel, which we'll actually talk about, and it's kind of ironic in this case, he has not been anything that I think people would be afraid of a blue-haired liberal coming out and attacking him. And if we know anything from the details of this attack, this wasn't some crazy kid like in Butler, PA, that shot the president, who they deleted immediately, burned, incinerated his body, and we never heard anything about him again. Kind of like a classic. What's that? Where they brainwash the person and send them in. Uh, the name escapes me. The Ben Stiller movie, but anyway, this was a professional hit job. One shot, one kill, deadly shot from 200 meters away. The guy had a clear escape path and some other aspects to it which are interesting, including a diversion. For those of you who are watching along, they thought that they had gotten the guy and they dragged him, across the concrete with his pants down. He was yelling, shoot me, and shouting, I have the right to remain silent. Just like a weird spectacle that was giving the real shooter time to get away. So that was an interesting aspect. Other interesting aspects are, even before they started covering this in the news, when you heard about it, it was when Charlie was taking a question about trans shooters, and then that's when he got shot. So it was almost like the shooter was triggered because Charlie was doing it. It was like almost too on the head. It was linked, and then now today they've released that etched into the shell casings, there are sort of trans messaging on there, and I think some anti-fascist type stuff. Like just like way too on the head, and why would he do that unless it was to kind of frame this as a trans-related thing to kind of fuel the right left hate, and that's exactly what's being put out in the media. So I wanted to offer an alternate reason for this, not the one that's being presented universally by stooges like Vince, who shockingly, I mean, not shockingly, I guess, was putting this out. He's been kind of beating the drum for Trump on some other issues, but I actually, well, again, I have trouble watching him, but because this was such a big issue, I wanted to see how he was treating it. I entered in some things into the chat saying, like, what's the deal? Like, they haven't caught the guy. Why are you like so one-sidedly saying this is the left? They've gone too far, when we don't know who it was. And I got instant. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Bongino show. He's got his A1 listeners, his longtime listeners. He calls the McGroin crew because they all have like humorous names like Tuggin McGroin and whatever McGroin, and a lot of them are moderators. But additionally, as Vince has inherited the show from Bongino, they are there to kind of pounce on anyone who says anything like calling bullshit on what Vince is saying, and that's what I did today. At first I got a lot of nonsense like middle fingers and calling me a troll, but like really just saying basic stuff about like slow down, like you don't even know what the deal is. Um and I think at one point, I don't know if I have the chat, but basically said three things like to that effect, and basically saying, I'm bringing up facts and inviting discussion, and you're calling me a troll by that definition. Charlie Kirk is a troll. Like, what are you talking about? I'm just trying to share, a valid perspective. And then I got banned. So my chats got grayed out, so I could tell that was happening. And then I got banned to the extent I couldn't even post a comment on it. And anyway, it's just like crazy because part of the issues that we had in the past on the right is that social media was getting flagged and censored, and people with conservative voices were getting unfairly banned by the NGOs who were marking it as disinformation and misinformation. Censorship was a top one or two issue in the last election, and now the free speech network of Rumble is censoring not hate speech, not anything, just like me raising, slow down, guys. Like, we don't know who the motives are, and pointing at a transgender issue when really it's probably related to something else, which I'm about to share, doesn't make, it's just weird. It's just them running cover. And it's sad because I was excited and have been excited, and as a Rumble investor in the stock, I think that this, as the alternate to YouTube, is the place where free speech can thrive. So without further ado, I want to get into some stuff here. And I think the first thing that we'll look at is a post on X from a guy who's kind of putting things together. So let's look here. We'll do the watch along screen. Yeah. So this Jackson Hinkle, I have no idea who he is, but he put together some interesting connections here. And so, yeah, Charlie Kirk had been a very strong supporter of Israel, almost to a fault. And as someone who watched him and followed him, I loved his content. I loved what he was doing. He put together an amazing network and is responsible for Trump winning several states and and potentially the whole thing. He had the heart and soul of the youth, and he organized the way that Barack Obama's team organized for him in 2008. So, but the one problem I had and was kind of annoyed because typically the youth are more uh, against what's going on in Gaza and kind of more enlightened than he seemed to be, and that was kind of disappointing because he did have the ear of the youth. But so anyway, that was one thing that I didn't like about him, but he did seem to be turning the corner a little bit. and we'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, so Jackson here says he used to be an Israel loyalist. He feared Israel would kill him, and we'll point to the post about that that came out like a month ago, actually, from one of his colleagues. So that's established. He started mildly criticizing Israel, uh, and then he said Epstein was Mossad. He left anti-Zionist. He let an anti-Zionist speak at his events, and so I think there he's referencing what's his name, Dave Smith, who's a regular on Joe Rogan, funny guy, very strong on Israel. He's got a great mind, great logic, and he's kind of bulletproof from being called anti-Semitic because he's Jewish himself. So he's kind of like the silver bullet to shoot down Israel. And anyway, so he was platformed by Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk got a lot of flack for that through the association because uh, Charlie's got a lot of fans and very influential. And for a long time, I think he was propping up some youth support for Israel when there wasn't a lot to be had. Um, he was shot in the jugular from someone 200 yards away. Netanyahu tweets within minutes. Now, I'll share something that's interesting about that. From what I can tell, he tweeted maybe 30 minutes after that the shooting. So that part about this tweet isn't accurate. Patsy gets arrested and acts guilty. Assassin escapes without a trace, and then Netanyahu tweets a longer message, and then he says, "Something tells me that they're not going to tell us the truth about who killed Charlie Kirk." And I subscribe to a lot of what's being said here, and he brings up some good points. So going to that tweet time, you can see here, Donald J. Trump tweets out his message at 3:02 p.m. and then at that same exact time, Netanyahu sends out his post. That's a little weird. Again, it's not minutes after he died. That would be even weirder. But the fact that they're coordinating their texts on this is strange, and that Netanyahu was so aware of this assassination. Like we said, Charlie Kirk was a big supporter of Israel, and Netanyahu appreciated him, vocally for that. But again, the timing there is weird. So the next thing, I'll show this clip in a second, which is a sign of Charlie kind of moving against Israel. And in this clip, he addresses the blowback he had been receiving recently based on the Dave Smith comment, or Dave Smith platforming and his participation of that. I do want to show one other thing before we show that clip, and that is talking about the patsy. So I just saw this right before firing up here, but this from Ian Carroll says, so what kind of trans activist shooter gets apparently two guys that look like this to run distractions on the ground to cover their escape? So let's check this out. Oh, this is just a still of a video. The original Charlie Kirk suspect, who allegedly confessed to the crime in police custody, was filmed yelling "Shoot me" as he was being removed. So I don't know if that was the guy who got dragged out. It kind of looks like him. But anyway, that's one. And then what's this? I guess they're saying these are weird friends for a trans activist to have. Certainly doesn't fit the build. And Utah doesn't really seem like the big trans capital, but anyway. Moving on, but I think that is an element that's kind of under discussed as they try and whitewash this as a simple example of lefties gone crazy and losing it. There's certainly more to it than that, and it's being glazed over. Okay, so let's look at this video with Charlie Kirk.
The behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, The way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. I am
It's
learning biblical
ridiculous.
Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I honor the Shabbat, literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, why are you? What am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But, like, some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megan, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been
almost
so
as
unfair.
if
They were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
Though. No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the 5th time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this. And I could go, I mean, you saw it, Megan. It was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages. And if I were to be charitable and generous, I will say the people that are attacking me are in a hyper-paranoid state because they're at war, and war tends to make things black and white, and you're a hammer looking for a nail. So I'm trying to be charitable, Megan. Literally, I'm trying to cut as much slack as I can, right? Like, okay, what would it be like if all of a sudden I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior similar to what my grandparents saw in 1930s Germany online? How would I behave? So that's like my charitable kind of overcompensation spirit. At the same time, I'm like, but it's not defensible to be dumb, right?
Yeah.
So
and it's offensive. It's offensive.
And so we'll stop that there. Obviously, he's making comparisons between what Israel is currently doing and Germany and the Nazis in World War II, which is kind of where most people are at this point, who are looking at what's going on in Gaza. And I think that's where we are now. We've got Charlie again with the zeitgeist of the youth. He's got the ear of them, and we're heading into midterms. Israel is on the verge of, getting boycotted by all of Europe. Like the walls are crashing in on them, and they're getting desperate. And I think that is kind of what we saw here, is him being targeted, being assassinated by Israel, because it's either now or never, and their back is against the wall, and he was the sacrificial lamb. Just too risky, too powerful to allow him to continue what he was doing. So we'll leave it there. I just wanted to share that. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. The independent thinkers on Rumble are not pushing this, so the rest of us need to. So consider it, and share and comment, because I no longer can on Vince, but I think that we're onto something there. So anyway, be well, be safe, and be vocal.